You see, I was feeling kind of nostalgic for this game, but as soon as I booted it up, I was kind of immediately reminded why this game was divisive in the Halo community, to say the least. Now, I am one of the few people that actually genuinely always enjoyed Halo Infinite, and I feel like especially compared to Halo 5 or even Halo 4, this game had a better reputation overall when it came to the core gameplay. Obviously, a lot of the OG Halo players still weren't very satisfied with the gameplay in this game just due to the fact that there was still a sprint button, the fact that the game was a live service, which is really the main sticking point here. Just the way that content was handled in this game between the live service model, the 8-month-long season, I believe it was, for Season 2 alone. Man, estimated wait, 2 minutes and 27 seconds. Man, I bet we probably get into a match a lot faster on even the Halo Master Chief Collection. And I mean, I have the most popular modes selected. I mean, if I go through and select all the modes, maybe it would speed it up, but still, I have like Team Slayer and everything selected. Well, until we get into the game, I guess we can sit here and talk for a little bit longer. So, for those that don't know, or maybe weren't paying too much attention back in 2021, this game came out at a time where things were pretty interesting in the FPS space. We thought that we were finally getting a return to the three-way war that we had back during the Xbox 360 PS3 generation with Battlefield, with Halo, and with Call of Duty. And, well, if you were around back in 2021, you may remember how that actually ended up going. So, I've always been one of the people that I always enjoyed. Oh, wow. Okay, we're actually getting into a match. Now, okay, yeah, the match is just starting. So you guys are about to see one of my favorite things about this game. This right here. Literally just this whole intro where it shows each of the characters. Yeah, look at me, bro. I look so clean with my black and red. Dang, they do have some really cool cosmetics in this game, though. But anyway, yeah, I love this whole, like, little intro cinematic, how it shows your team and everybody's skins and everything. But anyway, like I was saying before, you know, I've always been one of the very few people that actually really enjoyed, you know, all of the games that actually came out during that time. Call of Duty Vanguard, Battlefield 2042, and Halo Infinite. I actually ended up making videos on all three games. It was a great time for the channel. The channel was a lot smaller back then, though. That was still when I had, I want to say maybe 200 subscribers, something like that. I was still working at Subway. My controller's bugging out a little bit. Still got to get a new controller. Still using that cruddy third-party Xbox Series X controller. Get popped. Get popped. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all, this is one of my favorite Halo games just in terms of how the game feels. Oh my gosh, my controller keeps bugging out. It's gonna make me so mad, dude. There's something about the engine and the gameplay in this game where, you know, I know they said that they're switching over to Unreal Engine for the next Halo game, but if I'm gonna be honest, I don't want them to do that. I love and miss when games have their own proprietary engines, especially Halo, man. Halo has always had a really unique feel to their games, and I feel like them switching to Unreal, while yes, it's gonna be cool, I mean, I know this is a bit of like a back and forth kind of conversation, like, okay, it's not really about the engine, it's about what they do with the engine, but at the same time, part of what makes a game so unique is also the engine. So again, I am of the firm belief that just because a game uses the same engine, it doesn't necessarily mean that the game is going to feel like all the other games in the industry also using Unreal at the moment. Now, what it does mean to me is that we may lose some of that personality that Halo has by moving away from a, you know, proprietary engine. You guys know me, I'm a wellspring of positivity and optimism when it comes to literally everything, so I'm not gonna, you know, brush it off just because it's using a different engine by any means, but, you know, I'm still gonna miss it, and still hope that they can maintain that Halo feel despite using Unreal. As I was saying before, though, I absolutely loved all three games that came out during that time. Granted, when the games first came out, I did have a few grievances with them, specifically Battlefield 2042. Halo Infinite I always genuinely loved, and I feel like, again, that was pretty much the general consensus. The game felt really good to play. It was just a lot of fun. Even, like, a lot of COD YouTubers were making videos on it at the time. And, yeah, so, you know, I always really enjoyed Halo Infinite. The content was a bit lacking when it came to the live service model they were going for. Call of Duty Vanguard, I had a lot of fun with that game. The only really divisive part of that game for me would have been the zombies, where, yes, I enjoyed the zombies, but obviously, if you know how the content went for that game, we had one map at launch, and that map was basically just a repurposed multiplayer map, which usually I'd be okay with, but you know, just due to the nature of zombies in that game, it was still just a bit divisive overall. And then we had Terra Maledicta, and they kind of had an Easter egg in that map, kind of, sort of, maybe. And then they ended up reusing that map later on for the final map, the Archon, because that map was less about being a round-based map and more about just concluding the story. And then we had the Shi No Numa remake, which I've also said before is actually my favorite version of Shi No Numa in COD Zombies. I still stand by that it's still my favorite version of Shi No Numa. They knocked that out of the park, so that is like one of the best things that came out of that game. Otherwise, the multiplayer and the campaign, I really enjoyed it in that game. It was just the zombies that I felt like could have used more manpower behind it, and I feel like we can all agree with that. Now, as for Halo Infinite, my history with this game goes, I played it during the beta, I played it when the game fully launched, and then I don't really know what happened. I just kind of stopped playing at one point during Season 1, I want to say, maybe, and I don't know, you know, I bought a few cosmetics in this game, and I was having a great time with it, and then at some point I just kind of fell off, and I don't exactly know why. Maybe it's because I was putting more time into single-player games at the time, which I was spending, actually, that was the point where I was even playing playing Call of Duty a good bit less because I was just playing more single player games. And right now I'm sort of in this in between where I've been trying to play more single player games again, but I've also been streaming a lot, making a lot of content, so therefore I've just been playing a lot of multiplayer games again, so I'm still kind of back and forth on that. It's just one of those things where, I'll kind of figure it out when I have more time in the future. And then Battlefield 2042, there's a lot of, it's really hard, right? Because I do like the game, and the game felt fine enough to play at certain points, but there was still just something about that game where I felt like they maybe kind of sort of lost the plot in a few ways. And by that, I more or less just mean that they were chasing the same live servicey type of thing that Halo and Call of Duty were going for at the time. And while that's not inherently a bad thing, it's just that if the game felt more like a product and less like a video game, if that makes sense. It more felt like a platform that was maybe even rushed out the door just to meet a deadline, just to compete with Halo and Call of Duty, and unfortunately that meant that the game was lacking in a few specific ways. Like, I do remember the game was very buggy at launch. There was a lot of strange issues, and overall, we were missing basic features that took a long time to be put into the game. And when it was all said and done, looking back, Battlefield 2042 is in a very good place now, but I do remember there was a lot of controversial changes when it even came to like the portal and everything. I don't know, there was just a lot of improvements around the board that needed to be made. Because here's the thing for me with video games, I'm very, maybe lenient with video games. You guys know me, I'm the type of person where I'll defend like everything about anything in video games, right? I'm very empathetic for the devs. I know how hard it is to make a video game. I obviously haven't worked in the industry professionally, but I have worked on video game development before. I can tell you, it is so easy to break something with a video game. All it takes is one line of code to debunk your entire video game. One line of code goes wrong, your entire game is screwed, basically. So you better hope that you're backing it up constantly. It's, it's a very nerve-wracking process, honestly, sometimes making a game as fun as it is. There we go, we got a victory. But yeah, there was just something about Battlefield 2042 where when you played it, it was missing some of that Battlefield oomph behind it. You play Battlefield 3, you play Battlefield 4, and it has that oomph behind it. You're shooting the guns feel impactful, they feel great. But I even remember in one of my initial Battlefield 2042 videos, I had said, like, the guns feel just kind of floaty. It just feels kind of, I don't know, it felt like a beta. It's really hard to put these things into words sometimes, but I think really that's like the best way that I could put it into words. And, I feel like this is just a larger thing with video games as a whole right now. I mean, I feel like it's been getting better in recent times, right? We haven't had as many broken launches lately, but it was a thing for a while where basically every game that would release, you'd probably be better off not paying the $70 and just waiting a couple of months to get it when it was a bit more polished down the road just because it was releasing broken. Like Cyberpunk 2077, one of my top 5 favorite games of all time. Let's be honest, it's probably the worst launch in video game history, even though it's one of the best video games ever made. And I feel like that's really what I'm trying to say about Battlefield 2042. It just needed that little bit more time, so just something to refine the gameplay, refine the optimization, refine a lot of things, just so that it could have released as a complete polished game. God, the way I said polished, I hope nobody clips that. It makes a meme out of that or something. Polished. And I feel like that's also one of my issues with live service games in general, right? Because I do kind of miss that time back in the PS3 360 generation when you got a game and the game was just complete and any content you got after that was supplemental additional content. Now granted, I feel like a lot of games nowadays do actually do the live service model very well. Like look at Fortnite, it's very successful for a reason. Look at Call of Duty. I obviously there's always going to be like controversy in the Call of Duty community just because everybody's a bunch of ungrateful thumb-sucking crybabies in that community. Like at Call of Duty, the community, specifically the Chronically Online community, it's one of those communities where you can never do anything to actually satisfy them because they will always find a way to pick apart everything and cry about it just because, I mean, that's just what they do. Usually it's all driven just by views, clicks, or just feeding into the hive mind mentality of the internet. That's really all that hate online really comes down to in most cases anyway. But I mean, let's just put it as it is. I mean, Black Ops 6, for example, launched with, how many multiplayer maps was it? I don't know. It was like somewhere between like 12 to 16. I think it was 16 multiplayer maps. 16 multiplayer maps. They had 2 zombies maps to launch, an amazing campaign. And so that in itself is right in line with like classic Call of Duty games. It's like, okay, you already get your bang for buck. Like that was already a complete game. They had tons of unlockable skins in the games with the classic prestige system and all these other progression systems to go for. Like the game was already complete at launch. It was an amazing game. And then through the 6 seasons, well, right now we're in season 5 going on to season 6 here soon. We only received more and more content, right? We had 4 zombies maps come out throughout the season. We had a bunch of modes come to the game like Cranked and Grief, etc., right? We had a ton of events come out, tons of more multiplayer maps, tons of additional content coming into Warzone, even though Warzone's kind of like its own thing, you know. There was just a lot of stuff that came out during the year. And hold up, let me get this guy. There we go, clean kill. But anyway, so yeah, you know, like Call of Duty has always handled the live service model very well. Granted, there's been a few blunders where they were kind of figuring things out. Like I remember during MW2 there was a few dry periods. MW2 2002 or 2022, sorry. I'm starting to get really annoyed here. The controller keeps making me ADS. Maybe if I like unplug it and plug it back in again, I'm not sure. That's part of why my movement has been so sluggish in this video, because every time I try to like move, it would just start aiming down, but I think I fixed it. I to like flip the cord around. I think it might be my cord if anything, but like I said, I need a new controller anyway, so get there. Ah, no, it's doing it again. Stop that. I hate how many things in my setup I need to fix right now. There's so many things I need to buy, so many things I need to upgrade. It's just an absolute mess right now. I was actually thinking after this video, maybe going back and looking at Battlefield 2042 now again in 2025, just see how it's holding up. Now, I know it's going to be kind of interesting to do so, given that Battlefield 6 literally releases in less than a month from the time you're recording this video, but still feel like it would be interesting to look at that and maybe even go back to Vanguard at some point, just to really get the whole trilogy of 2021 first-person shooters complete there. I was thinking of revisiting Halo Master Chief Collection here soon, maybe going back and just, maybe I'll keep all the games tagged to see which ones we can get in there. I'd specifically kind of want to revisit 2, 3, and Reach. Those are just some of my favorite multiplayer experiences. Not gonna lie, I know I've said before that Halo Combat Evolved is my favorite Halo game, and that still stands, but that's more just speaking about the campaign, right? Because I didn't really get to play multiplayer, like, at all back in the day, really. I just mainly played the campaign in that game. But when it comes to Halo multiplayer, I'd say that probably either 2, 3, or Reach are my favorite multiplayers. If anything, I'm gonna say Reach. It's hard for me to pick, right? Because Halo 2 is obviously very nostalgic. Halo 3 also very nostalgic. Both absolutely fantastic games. But there's something about Reach where, you know, I know that one isn't as popular. Oh my god, dude, this. I'm sorry, I'm about to like punch the hell out of this controller, dude. This is really pissing me off. I'm just trying to play the game. Anyway, I don't know if I even got to finish my thought after that, but yeah, you know, I've always loved Halo Reach. You know, I have a lot of nostalgia for that game. I used to play that game with my friends back in the day. Also, just by myself, you know, I played that game a good bit. I really enjoyed the like firefight mode in that game, the multiplayer, the campaign. Halo Reach is such an amazing game. It was so underrated at the time that it released, and I feel like because of that, it's still kind of underrated to this day. You know, everybody still gives, you know, their flowers and their praises to Halo 2 and Halo 3, which are, you know, obviously still amazing games, but I feel like Halo Reach still deserves a spot up there as like one of the best Halo games. That game is freaking amazing, and if I'm gonna be honest, I think Halo Reach might just be my second favorite. No, you know what I'm gonna say? Halo Reach is my second favorite Halo behind Halo Combat Evolved. Also, sorry if I've been doing like a whole lot of stuttering and in this video. I'm a bit tired, man. I'm not gonna lie. I've been working on content a lot lately. It's basically been 16 hours a day for the last... I don't even know, man. For a while, I had a healthy balance, like 8 to 10 hours a day, but I kind of had like a vision for this channel and the other channels that I run lately, so I've just kind of been going like non-stop at it between streaming, making videos for anywhere from like 14, 16 hours a day. It's been a lot. My brain's a little zonked, but it's totally worth it. I'm having a lot of fun, and again, it's just kind of like front-loading a lot of stuff while I kind of, you know, work things out behind the scenes, get the content train rolling and all the different channels. S7 Sniper, I will take this. Deboinkle. Deboinkle. Stop. I can't even run away from grenades when my controller bugs out, dog. We're literally 41 to 39 right now. Come on, team. Don't let me down. One thing I will say about this game, just kind of in closing thoughts, they did add a good bit of content to this game, and especially once they got Forge in here, they were incorporating community content. There is a lot of content in Halo Infinite now, and there will always just sort of be like an infinite amount of content in this game. No pun intended, but also pun intended. Just because of the Forge, and, you know, when it comes to community-based content, that kind of gives a game an infinite life cycle. Again, pun not, but also intended. Look at a game like Call of Duty Black Ops 3, you know, infinite life cycle, because of the community content still coming out to this day, and I feel like that'll be the case with Halo Infinite, at least until the next Halo game releases, or, you know, whatever ends up happening next. And, you know, they've had a lot of great Forge-based content in this game, whether we're talking about, like, the firefight type modes. I've also seen people basically, like, recreate, like, COD Zombies type stuff in Halo, which is just, like, freaking amazing to see. I love it. And one of the best things about Halo Infinite is that it was probably the most, you know, I'll just say definitively, it was the most easily accessible first-person shooter of that time, at least in the multiplayer sense of things, because obviously Call of Duty is like pay to play. You know, like it still had Warzone, so that part of it was technically free, but at least when you're looking for a multiplayer type shooter that's not a battle royale, Halo Infinite is still like the most easily accessible of the three, just because it's free to play, whereas Call of Duty and Battlefield are still obviously pay to play. However, that's kind of a double-edged sword, because that is also probably part of why the game didn't have as much content at launch, and why there was like so much trouble throughout the seasons and whatnot, you know what I mean? So, you know, again, conversations for different days, you know. It's just like, you know, tons of rabbit holes we could go down with that. But anyway, the estimated wait went down. Now it says a minute 39, so, you know, that's cool. At least there's some more people getting along right now. But anyways, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you enjoyed this little... I can't really call it nostalgic, right? It's 2021. It's like 4 years ago. And nostalgia isn't exactly the word I would use for 2021. When I think nostalgia, I'm thinking like 2009, 2012, or whatever. So I don't know. I don't know what you would call this necessarily. It's kind of nostalgic in a way, but not nostalgic in the nostalgic sense. More just like fondly looking back at a time that was interesting. Does that make more sense? Yeah. Yeah, anyway, I hope you guys enjoy this. And like I said, I do have plans for similar videos in the future, so I hope you guys look forward to that. And anyway, yeah, let's go ahead and roll the outro. But anyway, as always, a massive shout out and thank you to all the patrons and channel members. Thank you to all of you in the low ball tier, and an even bigger shout out and thank you to all the mid ball tier, Last King, Emmy, Daddy, Manny, and the biggest shout out and thank you to all of you in the G tier, run of it, some legends. Thank you guys so much, guys, are literal legends. I love you. Have a busy day, stay beautiful. I love you all. Peace.